The year was 1864, and the Civil War raged across America. In the small town of Kearney, Missouri, a young Jesse James watched his older brother Frank ride off to fight. Frank wasn't joining the traditional Confederate Army. No, he was riding with William Quantrill's Raiders, a band of guerrilla fighters who waged a brutal war in the shadows. Jesse, only 16, couldn't wait to follow in his brother's footsteps. "When do I get to ride with you?" Jesse asked Frank one evening as he tended their horses. Frank paused, knowing what their mother would say. But the war changed men, and Frank nodded. "Soon, little brother, soon." It wasn't long before Jesse joined the infamous bushwhackers, men who didn't wear uniforms, who fought not with honor but with vengeance. And it was in the fires of this war that Jesse's path to outlaw legend was born. Before we jump into today's story, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to support the channel. It helps us bring you more great content. All right, let's dive in. The Civil War ended, but Jesse's war never did. The South lay in ruins, and men like Jesse James weren't willing to let go of the fight. "The Yankees may have won the war," Jesse said to Frank one night, "but they won't break us." In 1866, Jesse and Frank turned their wartime skills to a new enemy, the banks and railroads that they felt represented Northern greed. Their first target was the Clay County Savings Association in Liberty, Missouri. The raid was swift and brutal. "Everyone down!" Jesse yelled, firing his revolver into the ceiling. As the chaos unfolded, the James brothers escaped with thousands of dollars, leaving behind their first signature, a taste of violence mixed with daring. Word spread fast about Jesse James. He became a symbol for Southerners who saw him not as a criminal, but as a hero standing up against Northern oppression. Newspapers, eager for a story, painted him as a modern-day Robin Hood, even though there was little evidence Jesse ever gave to the poor. "Jesse James steals from the rich," the headlines screamed. In the public eye, Jesse became more than just a man. He was a legend. "I'm no hero," Jesse told Frank one evening, tossing a newspaper onto the table. "But if they want to believe it, let them." This myth was part of what kept Jesse safe. As long as people saw him as an outlaw with a cause, he had places to hide and people willing to protect him. By 1876, Jesse's gang was notorious. They had robbed banks, trains, and stagecoaches across the Midwest, but their luck was about to run out in Northfield, Minnesota. The James Younger gang rode into Northfield, expecting an easy score at the First National Bank. But the people of Northfield weren't so easily intimidated. As the gang tried to force their way inside, the townspeople fought back. Jesse stood in the street, revolver in hand, while gunfire echoed from every direction. "We've got to get out of here," Frank shouted, but Jesse was determined. "One more minute, we can still—" Before he could finish, a bullet whizzed past his ear and he realized they were out of time. They fled, leaving behind bodies, both of outlaws and civilians. The Northfield raid marked the beginning of the end. The James Younger gang was shattered, with many members captured or killed. Jesse and Frank went into hiding, assuming new identities. But Jesse couldn't stay away from crime. It was in 1881, while planning another robbery, that Jesse recruited Robert and Charlie Ford, two brothers eager to join his gang. But unknown to Jesse, Robert Ford had made a deal with the governor: capture or kill Jesse, and he would receive a hefty reward. "Trust is a dangerous thing, isn't it?" Robert mused one night to his brother Charlie. They had grown close to Jesse, but Robert's mind was set. The promise of fame and money outweighed any loyalty. On the morning of April 3rd, 1882, Jesse James stood in his living room in St. Joseph, Missouri. The Ford brothers sat nearby, tense and silent. Jesse, always cautious, noticed a dusty picture hanging crooked on the wall. "I should fix that," Jesse muttered. He stood on a chair, turning his back to the room. That's when Robert Ford made his move. Pulling out a revolver, Robert aimed at Jesse's back. In one swift motion, the gunshot echoed through the house. Jesse fell, dead before he hit the floor. Charlie stared at Robert, wide-eyed. "You did it." Robert lowered the gun, shaking. "I did." The man who had once been a feared outlaw, a hero to some, was gunned down in his own home, not by the law, but by someone he trusted. News of Jesse James's death spread quickly, and while many celebrated the end of his reign of terror, others mourned the loss of a folk hero. Robert Ford, expecting fame and fortune, was instead met with scorn. People called him a coward, and the nickname "the dirty little coward" stuck. Even in death, Jesse's legend grew. Songs were written about him, dime novels turned his life into fiction, and Hollywood would later portray him as an anti-hero. But the real Jesse James? He was neither a Robin Hood, nor just a cold-blooded killer. He was a complex man, a product of his time, a man who fought in a war he couldn't forget, and who lived by the gun until the gun took his life.